Welcome back to the Marching Arts Podcast. I'm the Stress Master.
And I am Kanan.
Hello, I'm Jen.
Queen of the Jungle. Thank you guys for joining us on the podcast. Well, all right.
Opinions.
We have opinions. She is the Queen of the Jungle, though, here in our podcast world. So,
someone has to sit on the throne.
Got more fans than you and me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, every time it's like, oh, I'm so glad Jen. Oh, what a great video,
thank
Jen.
God Jen's back.
And then when we do video, it's like, all right.
You all a bunch of wankers.
Good use of the word.
All right, Jen. Last night we had two epic shows, two great shows. It was Dekalb, right?
Dekalb, yeah.
Dekalb.
So glad that show happened.
Where was the other show?
Atlanta,
Georgia.
Southeast
That's right.
Championships. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. It even said Atlanta on there. Okay.
And where were the mandarins in all of this? I don't think they performed last night.
They didn't perform last night, no.
That's crazy talk. Wow. Okay.
I mean, they really haven't had many days off, to be honest.
So the entire top 12 performed last night, except for mandarins.
Except for the mandarins. But they've done a ton of shows, so.
The only ones in world class that didn't perform last night was Mandarin, Spartans, and Genesis.
Oh, Genesis didn't either. Okay, yeah, I see that.
All right. So we are going to actually just jump right into rankings and scores and all that fun stuff. So give me a second here, and I'm going to switch on over to that. Let's look at the scores here. This is the totals as of right now from both shows combined. And like we said, the three chords that didn't perform are not going to be relevantly linked in this because they're haven't been judged. So for a couple days. So
yeah,
but
looking at the trends, it looks primarily as if kind of Atlanta had a bit of a tighter judging panel than Dekalb did. More chords dropped at Atlanta points wise than did Dekalb. Interesting.
I don't know. I just think it's really interesting that there was a lot of red throughout the day. If you scroll, there's a lot of chords that went down. It might just be a tiny little thing, or they plateaued, they didn't do anything. It's just kind of a really varying because there are chords that were in Atlanta that dropped, there are chords that are in Dekalb that dropped. So I don't know if it's one show over the other as much as I think I just got the impression last night that people are tired.
I think at this point of the season, points are harder to come by as well.
Yes.
But I mean, that's a pretty significant drop. I mean, 0.6 and 0.5 for Boston and Santa Clara. And they were both at the same show. They were both at the same show.
Yeah,
Blue Coats and Blue Devils were at the same show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So to me, it's like the judging panel, bumped them down. Phantom went up a slight bit, which they were honestly the best of the night from what I saw in terms of performance-wise. They were the most consistent. I don't think I saw any drops from the guard, which last night everybody was droppy again. But I think it's also part, like you said, they're getting tired. I think they're getting tired and they haven't had rest like a couple days in between shows to really recover. And I think that's part of the condensed season now is you're going to get this where everybody's just trying to get as many shows as they can under their belts before finals. And that's going to also be a detriment. Yeah. Because you can't really.
Yeah. And I mean, we're at a bit of an interesting point of the season as well, because I know the Blue Devils specifically have got I've been getting a fair bit of stick about their tour schedule up until this point. Obviously, they've had periods of 6-7 days off. And now they're at a point where if you look at their schedule, they're pretty much, day after day between now and Indianapolis. So whereas other corps do have a little bit of a break built into their schedule. So it'll be interesting to see that effect as well. Does that hurt Blue Devils or does that give Blue Devils an opportunity to shine a little bit? So and I've got things to say about Blue Devils, but we'll get to them in a bit. So,
all right. So let's take a look. We're gonna go right. Sorry, my cat is going ape. You know what? Driving me nuts. Every time I'm on the podcast, he starts going ape stuff. I don't know why.
Okay. So before we started recording, we were talking about our pets, and I'm a dog person. Jen's a dog person, and we were talking about dogs, and Justin was there all like, oh, and we're like, dude, you don't even have pets. You have cats. You have evil overlords. You don't actually have pets. So,
well, they keep me busy. That's for sure.
Comment down below. What's better, cats or dogs?
And they're just as expensive. I guarantee it. Okay. So Blue Coats right now are in first with a 95.025, but they went up 0.625 and Boston went down 0.625. So if you count that, it's like 1.25, right? So 1.25. So they would be tied essentially. And Blue Devils 92.925. Santa Clara also went down with Boston 92.425. They would have, once again, if they hadn't been gone down, they would be above the Blue Devils. So they weren't at the same shows. So it's really difficult to really tell, what's real. But anyway, this is more for reference than for anything else, because unless they compete at the same show at the same time with the same judges, is it really a true ranking? But
you know what though? In reality, I don't think that there's that much difference, quite frankly. Back when we had a much bigger tour schedule and there was more crews, so to speak, of judges, then I think that there might have been a bit more relevance in that, but just like the tour schedule is condensed, the judging pool is condensed as well. So the judges that are seeing the cores now, regardless of whether they're seeing them here or there or head to head, they've seen everybody at this point. So I don't think that there's as much these days in separate shows as there was in the past, perhaps. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I just think if you're not at the same show, though, when we're talking about ranking and stuff, because it starts with the lowest core, right? And then you build up from the lowest core, because that's who you see first is the lowest core, and then you get to the top cores, and then your scoring is going to be different. So
yeah, but I think that
it's not bad. It's just what it is.
I think if you look at San Antonio kind of shows okay, when we get everybody together, we're pretty close to what we thought we were anyway. So
yeah, and they were all grouped together, right? By twos and stuff like that. So all right,
judges. I mean, essentially, judges don't live in a bubble. They have historical reference. They can look at what people are doing. They can look at that. Yeah, and they're not supposed to live in a bubble. I mean, when I was judging, I was taught how to box things. And it's not about slotting. It's about, if you think this person should be here, you do leave a little bit of room. But I mean, it's real tight now with the hundreds. But I mean, they're not, like I said, they're not in a vacuum. They know what happened the night before.
Yeah, and I've judged as well. I'm not sure if you've ever judged about Justin, but
yeah.
Yep.
They judge for the night, but they,
But you do look at scores. You do look at previous stuff, and I mean, because you have to have reference, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so we have Phantom Regiment, the 91.625, and like I said, I think they had the best run last night out of all the cores that were there. Yeah. I mean, in terms of cleanliness and energy, I think they had the most amount of all that. Not that the other cores were bad, but you could tell the difference when Phantom went on.
Yeah.
Like they weren't as tired, I don't think. So
yeah.
I don't know if it was the hype because of their hometown and
it's a home show for them.
Let's go,
Huge amount of alumni. It's a classic show. I mean, that's been the location for Drum Corps Midwest Championships since, the very beginning.
The dawn of time.
The dawn of time. I said in the chat last night, just, I'm old, but I had one of my best performances there, and I had one of my worst performances there. So we all have stories about marching on that field, and that goes back 30 years.
Hey, listen, I'm so old.
There for Phantom
Listen, I'm so old. I actually marched the Drum Corps Canada Championship.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm that old.
Wow. Back when there used to be Canadian drum corps?
Yep.
Wow.
All right. So we have Carolina Crown in 6th with the 90.725. I think there's a chance for Mandarins to catch up.
I'm looking at that score too. Like that is, I mean, it's what, 1.5? They could push it, could you imagine?
It's not undoable because and they have some really strong sections, so we can see, and I think actually when we look at the recaps
it's a
like
point.
the rankings.
Sorry, real quick, Justin. It's a 1.5, but it wasn't a 1.5 when they were head to head. It was.
That's true.
It's less than half a point.
Yeah. So,
okay, interesting.
Yeah, and then we have Blue Stars, which they're holding steady in that realm with Cavaliers. I think Cavaliers might be able to pass them.
I think they will.
I think it's possible.
I think having watched Blue Stars again last night, I think that Cavaliers, will catch them. It's going to go back and forth till they run out of time. And then whoever's there is there.
And then also Troopers is in that mix, right? They're only like 0.7 behind the Blue Stars. So they're in that realm. And honestly, Troopers show, I think, is getting much better in terms of just emotion, and they're finally figuring it out. Yeah.
Oh, they finally bookended the show, and I was like, I get it. I don't know. The only thing
the pallbearer stopped smiling. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. They had from the last show that I saw in St. Louis to this show, which is only like 3 or 4 days. They obviously had this in their back pocket. They, when we look at the Troopers in the beginning of the season, they had one guy come out in his coat, do all this like gesticulating, and then run off, and then you never saw him again. And you're like, what is this about? Then they got rid of that guy, and they brought out the guy in white who pops up behind the casket, the coffin. And it's like, well, that feels like such an afterthought, like too little too late. Like, where is he in the rest of the story? And then they finally brought it out last night for those who saw the show, where he gets shot, and you're like,
oh yeah, I didn't see the show. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see the show? Okay.
No.
So they bring him out after the drum feature, and he's kind of doing his little Clint Eastwood kind of walk around, and his slow walk, and then all of a sudden, someone shoots him, and he staggers around very Phantom Regiment Juliet like, falls on the ground, dies, and they bring the casket out over him, and Flo did them dirty on this one. They bring the casket out over him. They did him dirty because they kept showing it from the side as they're walking the casket forward, and you could just see him walking in the casket. It's like they just gave away the whole thing. So boo on Flo for that. Do not show that casket except for from the front from now until finals. Please.
Well, yeah, because in that scene, there's one of the guard members is I'm
blocking.
I'm interpreting it as the Grim Reaper at the front of the casket,
or the priest or whatever. Yeah,
with a big black bit of silk to hide the fact that that this dude's walking underneath there. Flo did him massively dirty. I think that show has massively improved over the last week and a half. Even without bookending the story, I think that the show itself is really starting to talk. I am actually doing so I'm going to have 2 releases of videos this week. So one of the ones that I am going to be looking at is Troopers, because I have been admittedly fairly harsh on the Troopers design over the last year or so.
Same.
So I'm going to be doing a review of the Troopers show. I'm also going to be doing a tribute to Chuck Mangione as well. So
I want to stick with Troopers a little bit. Because I also have been harsh on them. In fact, my last video, I was still harsh on them. They won me over last night. And again, someone had made the comment, we appreciate that you are able to change your mind. And here I am changing my mind. They've made the corrections that I'd hoped they would make, like adding more to the story. The only thing that I don't like, and I'm hoping it disappears before finals, is that last little voiceover of whatever the guy is saying, we're the troopers of the past, we're the troopers of the present, whatever that is, feels very pandering to me. And I would love to see that go away, because it takes me out of the story of this guy's final sunset. He's just a dude that got shot and carried off. I love watching them walk off to the backfield, and whatever that voiceover is, it just shatters the story.
Yeah, we don't need it.
I'm hoping
we don't need it. We've killed the dude. This is the last of the story.
We get it.
Do something new next year.
Yeah, whatever. I feel like they're trying to lean into something that they're going to tease and drop next year. It needs to go away. It doesn't ruin the show for me. It just makes me go, huh? So if they get rid of that, then I am fully on board 100%. I love the show.
Okay,
so good for them.
So Colts moved up a little bit. You can see here with an 85.450. They moved up 0.8 from the previous show. And then Blue Knights moved down one spot. So they would flip spots. And then the story here, Spirit of Atlanta, they are hovering in the 13th spot right now. And they are doing really well in some captions and not so well in some captions. So it's kind of a mixed thing for them.
It's going to be, do their good captions carry them, or do their not so good captions sink them? That's which one's going to be stronger.
And it's usually the latter.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, Madison, I think has plateaued.
No, to be fair, we say that, okay? And we're not going to pick on Spirit as far as which captions are weighing them down. You guys can go on to Core Clash and figure that out yourself. But that being said, last year's Madison Scouts, their percussion was an anchor, and they made finals.
Last year's Troopers, their guard was an anchor for 3 years, and they still made finals. So
one of the things we're doing in this episode this week, after we've kind of reviewed everything, is we're going to call our shots as to who we think is going to finish where. And this is the time of the year where things can change, where we're cores are getting judged a lot more often than they were early in the season, and this is the point where those anchor captions can start to become less of an anchor, or on the other hand, can actually become more of an anchor. So it'll be interesting to see what happens between now and Indy.
And the interesting thing is as the season progresses, you see what captions, it's that they all kind of start here as captions, and then they do this. And if you're good, and not if you're good, if you're equal, all the captions do this. But if you're not, if you're out of balance, then it does this, and that's what we're seeing here is that in certain cores is that other captions, other areas, obviously have been left behind.
and when you look at the captions, in individuality, so to speak, there's certain captions though that affect other captions more than others. Okay. So typically speaking, visual, for instance, if a core's guard is struggling, it's going to bring down the visual score as well. And I think that and on music side of things, it's going to affect GE more. But so one relatively weak caption can have a detrimental effect on captions around them as well. So
And I think we are gonna go through the rankings of the different captions, but we're gonna try to go through pretty quickly because we're already at 20 minutes in the video here. So let's keep scrolling down. So we have Spirit in 13th, Madison in 14th, Pacific Crest in 15th, Crossman in 16th, Academies in 17th. But look at Music City. They are really close to beating or passing the Academy. And I think they might be able to do it. I think they are, and I just did a video. If you guys want to watch it, it's up in the corner here. On Music City's latest show that they did. I think they really have, for whatever reason, I think their show design is pretty darn good. It's just getting the sections and the maturity of the organization to rise to the level of their show design.
Right. So, Justin, can you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
In the edit, can you make this just my face? Because I'm going to issue a plea to Music City's design staff. Dear Music City's design staff, I have a favor to ask of you. You have a tuba solo. He's a really good tuba player. He doesn't need pit goo over him, note for note for note. Let my tuba players play. This has been a public service announcement by me. Thank you.
All right, so shall we go to Caption? So let's go to GE. Blue Coats leading the Caption there, 38.250, not unexpected. Boston, like like everybody in this show dropped. So I'm assuming just every caption is going to be lower from that show. But they're still below Blue Coats in terms of GE. I'm wondering if it's because they keep changing their ending and they keep
I don't
changing
know how much
things.
did they change their ending again. It didn't look different to me. If that's the
No,
new ending, then I'm missing something.
Not last night,
Okay.
but two shows before they changed it twice, and I think that's maybe hurting them a little bit now because they're not executing it as highly as Blue Coats. So
yeah, I keep hearing rumors of some new ending, so I'm assuming it hasn't premiered, because if it premiered, it sure got by me.
yeah. And then Blue Devils are moving their way up with GE at 37.
Well, they've got a new ending as well now, don't they?
BD?
Did they not have a new ending?
No. I don't know. I didn't get to see him last night, so I didn't know.
I just thought they had a really good run. To me, this show, look, I'm never going to, I'm going to happily die on this hill. To any saxophone players out there, I apologize straight away, but the saxophone is my least favorite instrument on the planet Earth. Okay? And I especially hate the soprano saxophone. That is the instrument of Satan. Okay? If I end up in hell,
ruin that instrument.
if when I pop my mortal coil, okay, and if I don't end up in the good place, I'm convinced I will be greeted by Kenny G and a soprano saxophone for all of eternity. Okay, so I will never forgive them for the soprano saxophone bit in the beginning of that show. That being said, I like the rest of the show. I like every bit of it. I'm starting to finally see. Now, I am an unapologetic Blue Devil fan. Everybody knows that, okay? For the first time, I'm starting to feel that bit of Blue Devil swagger that I think has been kind of missing up until now. So maybe seeing themselves 5th place in the rankings has lit a fire under their ass. So,
I'm gonna step back on that soprano sax solo. I like the first one. I do not like the second one. I like the intro.
One is too many.
Do not like
one is too many.
Okay, yes. If we're gonna argue the existence of the soprano sax, then yes, one is too many.
It shouldn't even exist.
But if we're going to compare the two, I prefer the first one with Uninvited because I like the tonality between the soprano sax and the 2 trumpets. But the second one is just noodling soprano sax, and I don't want it.
Yeah.
Make that.
All right. So it looks like we have a grouping of Santa Clara, Phantom Regiment, Carolina Crown, and Mandarins all within that 36 score. They're all They're all mixed in together. Blue Stars at 35.25, and then there's a little bit of a jump down to the Cavaliers, and then a jump down to the Troopers. So Troopers, Colts, and Cavies are all kind of right there in that little realm. And then Blue Knights, and then Madison Scouts 32.9, and then Spirit of Atlanta 32.75. So once again, everybody kind of dropped down at certain shows, but once they're together again, who knows where they're gonna rank, because they're also going to be better or different. But you can see it's pretty straight down the road here, nothing unexpected. So let's go ahead and jump to music. Boston Crusaders, they even went down 0.025, but they're still slightly in the lead here. But it looks like Santa Clara, Blue Coats, and Boston are all 3 together in that realm for music, which I think I agree with. Not that Blue Devils isn't in the hunt, and you can see they're tied right now. Phantom is tied with them in that caption. Carolina Crown, Troopers, the 26.6, and then Mandarins actually dropped 0.6. That's a big drop.
Sounds like they must have just had a rough run.
There's something about Mandarins. I have seen Mandarins get these huge bumps in scores only to come back the next night and have that level out. And I specifically Mandarins. They had it happen to their guard. They had it happen to their brass. And now it's happening here in the music category. And I don't know what's going on with the Mandarins. Because I don't think it's the Mandarins. I don't know if it's the I don't know. It's just so weird that they stick out as the core that's happening to the most.
Yeah. Is it we're maxing out the design?
I don't know. Now, I firmly believe when they got that 18 in their guard caption of a handful of shows ago, I firmly believe that was a situation of overscoring, and that was on the judge. And that leveled out again, But this is all weird. I don't know if they're just having rough runs or great runs, or if they're not, I don't know where their equilibrium is.
Yeah, it's just kind of
Plus,
odd.
plus the thing is as well is Mandarin's, especially when looking at Mandarin's show overall, all captions, it's an esoteric show. So it's a show that's easily open for interpretation one way or the other. Different panels could have completely different takes on the same show.
Yeah. And they're all grouped together with Blue Stars, Cavies, Mandarins, and Troopers. So all of them are in that 36. Even Blue Knights is kind of technically in there. So
more to the point, let's get down to the 13th. What does Spirit need to do to have a crack?
Well, their music score is only a half point behind Cold, so that's really entertaining. Well,
their brass line could play.
Let's go on to visual.
Let's go on to visual. All right. So, look, everybody
went down. See, we all noticed they all had dirty shows last night.
Yep, everybody went down. But look at Blue Devils. They went up.
No,
technically,
they went down.
No, but they only lost by 0.15, and that's what was the difference between Boston here. And then also, look at this. All the 27s. Look at all the 27s. Carolina, Phantom, all the way up. And then 28 for Blue Coats.
2 through 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Mandarins went up by 0.7 visually. Wow. That's a big jump.
Wow. Like everybody except for Mandarins went down.
Yeah, that's wild.
Top 9. That is wild. And then
Troopers went up barely by like 500ths.
That is crazy.
So not a lot of movement. But this, I think, is where Spirit... Well, they're not even out of the hunt. It's only 0.2 of a point. And only 1.3.
That's tight.
But that's still a big gap, 1.3 here.
Well, and something happened because they got dumped from one show to the other. So going down 0.6 and the caption is pesky. That's a big dump. So I want to know, that's when I look at what was the score before. Was that score before an anomaly, or did they have a bad run last night? It's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. So visual is definitely one area that they need to improve upon. Let's look at the guard score.
Yeah, we'll know in the next score.
So it looks like Blue Devils and Boston are tied. Blue Devils 18-5, 18-4 for Phantom.
Yeah.
No, Blue Coats and Boston are tied. Blue Devils in third is what I meant to say. With an 18-5, and then Phantom Regiment climbing right behind them.
I love it.
18-4.
I love it.
And then Santa Clara went down 0.6. So that would mean they'd be tied here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they made up that would make up some ground, because Santa Clara has been getting dumped in guard for the last few shows. So they've been down in that 7-8 range for the last few shows. So this is a nice jump for them. For the last show to this show.
You live by the props, you die by the props. So props do hide a lot of visual stuff. Their guard is the most exposed guard on the field, bar none.
Yeah, I would say
they're out there the whole time.
Yeah, they're not moving props.
Look at all the 17s. Wow. I mean, look at the difference. So we have 18-8 as the top score. 16-8 is the bottom score, so only 2-point difference between the 12th and first place. Pacific Crest with a 16-7, they moved up 0.4, so good for them.
Yeah.
0.1 for Madison, 0.7 for the Academy, so they moved up quite a bit. But Spirit of Atlanta dropped down 0.6.
Wow.
So they would actually be right up here in this 14th place.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a couple things. Cavaliers also dropped. If you look at those two guards, I saw some uncharacteristic ensemble dirt from both of those guards. I'm not saying, there weren't a lot of, a ton of droppy drops from the Cavaliers. My rifle dropped, we tend not to punish for drops, but there's just uncharacteristic ensemble dirt. So I don't know if they just had kind of a rough run last night, but it reflects in the scores. But they're such a great guard, so they'll bounce back.
Yeah. Okay, so shall we move on to percussion? Okay, so this is where it changes quite a bit in terms of space. So 19-1 for Boston, 19 for Blue Coats, 18-9 for Santa Clara, so they actually went down 0.1. Blue Devils, 18-5 staying the same. 18-4 for Regiment, 18-1, 18 for the Troopers. They've been doing really well in percussion all season.
Yeah, of course.
Cavaliers also doing pretty well, 17-8. 17-8 for Mandarins. They actually dropped 0.2. I wonder if they just had a bad run. I don't know. It just seems like maybe. But look at Spirit of Atlanta, 17-5. They're in 10th place in percussion.
Oh, they can play. They can play.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Just wild. And then Blue Stars down in 13th place in percussion with a 17.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the only corps that in the top 12 that's actually has a 13th place caption, right? Or a below 12th place caption so far?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And then you got the rest of the area here. Okay, so Spartans in 20th, but they're making improvements too. They got a 0.4 jump there, so. Okay.
I can't wait to see how the percussion score levels out, like who ends up where between Cavaliers and Troopers. Because Cavaliers have a little bit of pride going here. That's, they have a reputational thing going on. And then obviously everybody knows that the Rennicks wrote the book for the Troopers, and so there's that too. And I think the other day when Cavaliers came out ahead of Troopers, that was kind of a big boost to them. I'd like to see where that ends up.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like, and it's every year, some corps just have maybe a stronger section that season,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of boosts their score up and helps them. But I think everybody's kind of more on a level playing field this year in terms of captions. It's just all over the place. Blue Coats 18-8, Boston 18-8, 18-6, 18-4, 18-3, 18-2. So a lot of 18s from the top 6. Mm-hmm. Then we once again Mandarins went down 0.6 in brass.
Yeah, brass and that music. See, that's the reflective of that music score. When
wow.
That overall music caption.
That's what I was saying. One caption affects the other.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they did just have a bad run, because it seems like every caption they're down. So it's possible. Blue Stars 17-5, 17-4, 17-4, 17-1, 17, and Spirit of Atlanta right there in 13th place. And if they wouldn't have lost the 2/10, they'd be at 16-8, a little bit closer to the Colts. So it seems like the area of Spirit is really visual and guard. Those are the two areas that if they improve those areas, they'd probably go up 2 points.
Yeah,
at least. I don't know if it's going to eat up the whole gap though, of the 3.
So I don't know what they need to do to clean up the guard. Okay, obviously the judges, there's something about Spirit's guard that the judges aren't jibing with. That being said, having watched Spirit's show yesterday, I really enjoy Spirit's show this year. What I would say is that there is a lot on the visual side of things that they could do, that they could clean up very, very easily, quite frankly. Simple cover downs, we're missing the basic, and that's stuff that we don't need to redesign. We don't need to rewrite. We just need to rehearse more and cover down. It's really that simple. Sometimes everybody talks about, we got to rewrite this, we got to do. Sometimes just do it better.
Yeah, just clean what you got.
Yeah, because my question is, so they played Spirit's Guard. I'm looking at their graph because I paid the $2.99 annual fee to get the graph. So their guard has been pretty consistent in their climb. They've got a couple of downs on their score, but they were a 15-4 in Dallas after San Antonio. They jumped up to a 16-3, which is an entire point jump in Birmingham 4 days later, and then came down in last night's show. So my wonder is, do we have an overinflation of scores, to have a 0.6 dump? So I'm going to be kind of interesting to see their next show, which is tonight. I think they're at Nightbeat. So
do we go back up or no?
Yeah. Do they go back up? Do they level out? Do they stay where they are? So again, it's like, I can't just say their guard, is the anchor or whatever. I need to see how this particular score levels out.
Yeah, because I think, part of the visual score is the core itself. It's the drill and stuff like that. So
that's what I'm talking about. Clean up the drill.
Yeah. To me, that's going to be your biggest breadwinner right there, is just clean up the drill. Do what we did. Remember when in '89 we couldn't get that opening rotation, and then Charlie got out there at like 5 a.m. or something, some crazy amount, and he literally like went out and painted all of the diagonal paths and stuff like that. God. And we the whole day, that is all we did was that opening rotation. But guess what? It got us in the finals. It got
We
us
never
into
played a
finals.
single note that day.
Yeah. Wow.
But because we cleaned that part, it helped us clean the rest of the show.
Yeah,
That
because if you
one
didn't have
opening
that
block.
part down, you were done because that was your opening statement.
And it was
It was a
hard.
big statement too.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Video up here while we're talking, so you can see what we're talking.
It condenses down and then rotates, and it is almost perfectly clean at finals.
Yeah,
so
quite impressive. Quite impressive.
Super exposed.
All right.
So something I would say though is, are we done with the ranking or the?
We're done. We're done. We can.
Yeah.
So something I found interesting, looking at the spread overall between first and 12th place right now, okay, is 9.75 points. I would argue that's probably the closest first to 12th place has been in a long time.
It's tight this year. That's why it's like it can go any direction. It's crazy.
I'm
in
wondering
multiple places.
I'm looking at those cores at the top. I'm looking at you, Boston. I'm looking at you, Bluecoats. How much more can you actually do in the time that we have left? Last year's winner was a 98 something. We're already at a 95. How much more can we do? Whereas the bottom, I don't see an 85 making finals. You're probably talking an 88, if not even an 89, to get in.
Right.
Yeah, so, but they always seem to do that.
Oh yeah. It goes like
they always
quarterfinals.
How do you clean 4 points worth in a week?
And how do you lose 4 points in a week?
So listen, guys, before we get to the call your shots portion of this episode, I'm not sure what we know about it, but on the 17th of July, the Troopers lost their food truck, and I think we should talk about it. So just in our chat, I've put a link for you to put up here in the edit. Okay. But yeah, 17th of July, they lost their food truck and had to abandon the truck in San Antonio. It's got a cracked frame and it looks like it may not be fixable. This is a huge blow to any drum corps. And
I can speak to that because Regiment just replaced their food truck a few years ago and I worked very closely on the purchase of that food truck. I know how much these trucks cost. I know how much they cost used. I know how much they cost to lease them. I know how much they cost to design and build them out. It is ridiculous how expensive these trucks are. So I'm giving Troopers money and I don't have 2 pennies to rub together, but I've got $20 I can throw them.
Yeah, me too. But no, and the thing is as well is that a lot of people say, all these corps spend all these money on costumes. Get that crap out of your mind right now, okay? If you even got $1, send $1 to the Troopers to help them with this food truck. These food trucks aren't something they change every 3 or 4 years. I mean,
no.
The Freelancers.
We had ours for 34 years, 35 years. Yeah.
The Freelancers tour truck or food truck is still on tour this day, feeding the Academy. So
this is a capital expense that will last for decades upon decades.
Please, if you can afford it, help out. Justin in the edit I'm sure we'll have the link up and all that stuff, and we'll have the link in the comment section below.
For sure.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So we've talked about rankings.
Cup of coffee.
So we've talked about rankings. Should we put our money where our mouth is and call our shot?
Now, Kanan, Jen and Justin give their predictions for the DCI 2025 Top 12.
Right.
All right. Let's do this.
I'll do this.
Oh my God.
So we are going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going to call our shot for Indianapolis. Who makes the big dance? We've intentionally waited a few weeks into the season for this, not because we're trying to hedge our bets. We wanted to see everybody. We wanted to see everybody kind of up against everybody as well, so that we can now actually make kind of what we think to be an educated guess. So the way we'll do this is we will do our top 12. We'll do 12 through 6 kind of as a group, maybe talk a little bit about that, and then the individual ones 6 through 1. So do you want me to start, or do one of you guys want to go first?
Go for it.
Go, Kanan.
Okay, so for myself in 12th place, I want it to be Spirit of Atlanta, but I'm not going to put Spirit of Atlanta in 12th place. In 12th place, I'm going to put the Colts. In 11th place, I'm going to put the Blue Knights. In 10th place, I'm putting the Blue Stars. In 9th place, I'm putting the Cavaliers. And in 8th place, I'm putting the Troopers. I think that the Troopers are going to develop that show just that little tiny bit more to get them up into that 8th place position. That being said, I don't think there's going to be a point between those three spots. So any one of those three could be anywhere over the place. But I think Colts and Blue Knights are on an island. Troopers, Cavies, and Blue Stars are on an island. 7th place is Mandarins. I'd like to have put them higher, but again, I think they're sitting pretty firmly on an island.
Mm-hmm.
So 6th place, I've got Carolina Crown. So the reason why I've got Carolina Crown in 6th is, well, they're Carolina Crown for starters. They're still a very good drum corps, regardless of any criticisms I've had about the design. They're still a very good drum corps. They're still a very good horn line. The drum line is massively improved. The color guard is still Crown Guard, even if they aren't staged particularly well. Okay. In 5th place, this is going to be a little bit controversial, but in 5th place, I've got Vanguard.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And the reason I've got Vanguard in 5th place, I think this show's going to plateau. I think this show is going to plateau a little bit in the last couple of weeks. 4th place, I've got Phantom Regiment, and I think it's going to be very close between Santa Clara and Phantom Regiment. Of the top cores, though, and this isn't me just saying this to blow sunshine up your ass, Jen, Phantom is my favorite show of the top 6. It's the show that, to me, speaks to me. It's the show that, to me, bookends a story the best. That story started back in, 2010 with Into the Light. So to me, this is the natural successor to Into the Light. But I think that it's just a gut feeling. I think Santa Clara is going to plateau a bit.
Okay.
So 4th place, I've got Phantom. 5th place, I've got Santa Clara. 3rd place, drum roll. 3rd place, I've got the Boston Crusaders.
Man, you got some hot takes.
I've got some hot takes. Again, I think this is going to be super, super close. But I think people have written off the Blue Devils at their peril. That's no take on the Boston Crusaders. I just think there's so much going on in that show. And the other thing about Boston that I've seen every single time that I've watched Boston, I've been seeing a lot of drops in the guard. It's every single show. And I'm not seeing that from the Blue Devils. So if I look at those two, what do I think is going to be the difference between the two? I think it's going to be guard, ultimately. 2nd place, I have the Blue Devils. And then 1st place, I have the Blue Coats. That being said, is the Blue Coats my favorite show of the year? No. That being said, I think that nobody in the activity is as innovative as what the Blue Coats are as far as their use of tech and their use of movement as well. That being said, the Achilles heel for the Blue Coats that I think could cost them is visual, because they're not really that clean. Boston is a lot cleaner, and Boston can get cleaner, as can Blue Devils as well. So that's it. That's my take.
All right. Okay.
Who wants to follow that up? Boom.
I'll go quick. It is an insurmountable gap for anybody 13th or below to escape into 12th. So I'll just leave it into that. 3 points is too much to overcome. Blue Knights. Let's see. I say Colts in 12th. I say Blue Knights in 11th. I say Troopers in 10th. I think that Cavaliers and Blue Stars will duke it out for the 8th and 9th position, with Blue Stars in 9th and Cavaliers in 8th. So I diverge from you a little bit there, Kane, and I do not think Troopers have 8th place in them. Mandarins are on an island by themselves in 7th. I feel for them. It is hard to stay motivated when nobody's catching you, chasing you behind, and you can't catch up ahead. I've been there. I was there in 95 with Phantom Regiment. We were on an island in 5th, and there was nothing we could do. It is hard to stay motivated. I think Carolina Crown is in 6th only by the fact that the top 6 is that good. Somebody has to come in 6th. I've said that before. They've got, I don't know. I'm not even talking about the show. They're in 6th. I've talked about their show enough. Phantom, 4th and 5th. That is tricky because I want to hear you on Vanguard in 5th. I'm going to call Phantom in 5th, even though I want them in 4th or 3rd. I'm going to call Phantom in 5th. Santa Clara, that's a tough one. The scores from last night are tricking me, so I'm still going to call Blue Devils in 4th. I'm going to call Santa Clara in 3rd. I'm going to call Bluecoats in 2nd and Boston in 1st because we still haven't seen whatever new ending they say they have. But my last only hot take, only call, I'm going to call Bluecoats Zangali. That's it.
It's not that hot of a take, let's be honest.
Well, it is if you appreciate tricks and high level of achievement over everything else in catching all of those tricks, then yes, you'll call Boston. The people think Boston should have the Zangali because they can do a million tricks. But there is something called content in a subcaption that I think that Bluecoats have in spades is the musicality of their book.
Exactly. I was going to say, in the last podcast we said, I don't think there's a more musical color guard than the Bluecoats.
Yeah. So I'm calling Bluecoats for Zangali.
Okay. Well, that's good.
All
so I have the
right.
exact same list you do.
Okay.
We can't really see it. There we go. It's kind of on
There
camera.
it is. Yeah, there it is.
All right. But for different reasons. So
Okay.
Colts are in 12th. I just don't think, I think they use their uniforms to me, I think is the biggest cause of where they're at in terms of visual. And it's not a bad thing because they do use them well, but I think it's also kind of pigeonholed them in some ways visually. And then the guard uniform does not contrast the core. So it's just kind of this mix of color.
Yeah.
And it's not bad.
I
It's
agree.
just different. Anyway. Wait, who do I
11.
have? Yeah, but I forgot who. Wait, hold on. Let me take a look at 11. Who's in 11th? Who do you have in 11th?
Blue Knights.
Jim? Blue Knights, thank you. There's so many blues. I just wrote blue, and I'm like,
I know,
which
right?
blue is it? Yeah, so Blue Knights in 11th, and they've come a long way this season. I just think that their show is where it's at. Everybody's going to clean up. They're going to clean up. They are where they're at. Troopers in 10th, and that's not bad. They have a really good show, really solid show. But once again, like to Kanan's point, the show takes a long time to develop. It's a good show. It's fairly clean. I mean, they're playing well, but I think 10th place is the vehicle that they've been given, and that's where they're going to end up. Blue Stars, they have a fantastic horn line, but I think show concept wise, Cavaliers have the advantage on the show concept. And I think Cavaliers, once they clean up, which they will, they'll clean up guard and percussion and visual, they're going to be in 8th place and Blue Stars will be in 9th. Mandarins in the island of 7th place. That's where they're going to end up.
It's a sucky island, that.
I hate islands. It's terrible.
But
Solo
that
islands
is-
are the worst.
That is where they're going to end up. And then 6th place is going to be Crown. And I just think that their show is plateaued. And they're going to progressively get better just as the season goes, but I don't think the show is going to get any better. And it's not bad. It's not a bad show. It's just it is what it is.
If they have a different ending in their pocket that we haven't seen, besides that weird out of the Crown set, they dissolve into a scatter and then they go into that company front curve and it goes wah, and that's the end of it. It is such a dissonant ending to the rest of the show. If they all of a sudden pulled a different ending out, then there's a world where they could pass 5th place.
How does it go
But that
again?
ending is the anchor to that show.
Ah,
How does it go again, Jay?
You what?
How does it go again?
You could just loop it.
Oh, we intend to.
okay, so
I love it.
in 5th place, I have Phantom Regiment. I think that's where they're going to be. I think there is going to be quite a little bit of a distance between 5th and 4th. I think Blue Devils is going to improve, but I don't think they're going to beat Santa Clara. I think Santa Clara look how much they've cleaned already. And I think there's a little bit more they can go on the cleanliness of the show. And if they add in some new elements, that'll also make it more fresh for the audience and the marcher. I think that's going to help them out. I think they're going to end up in 3rd, Blue Devils in 4th, Phantom Regiment in 5th. In 1st and 2nd, I have Bluecoats in 2nd. I think their show, for me, is too much, too busy of moving those cubes, putting those cubes, stacking the cubes, moving the cubes, rotating the cube, pushing them back. It's like, that's great.
We're going.
Yeah. All they do is just constantly unstack the cubes, restack the cubes, move the cubes, put the cube back. They have the gigantic big cubes, and I don't think they use those like what they're originally designed for, which is to change the color. Like if you stand in there with the white uniform, it's supposed to be like yellow, and then you turn it and it's blue, and then it's pink. I think that's what it was originally designed for, but they don't even explore that to me.
We may not be seeing that on Flow either. I haven't seen that show live, so we may be missing something on Flow.
We could be.
Yeah, and I'd also be interested to know the sound chaining. What is that like live? Because on Flow, it doesn't. On Flow, it sounds like a broken microphone to me.
It sounds like a crackling mic. Yeah,
it does. Yeah,
last night was the first night I actually heard it. I was like, "Oh, that's what that is."
So if anybody's seen Bluecoats live and I'm talking out of my ass, please let us know in the comments below. I'd be really interested to hear a take of what that sounds like live.
Yeah, because I definitely haven't heard it. I mean, through Flow, they have the microphones, right? So you're not catching it out the speakers necessarily. And then first I have Boston, because I think their show is the most energetic show, the most brilliant show in terms of just like things happening.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's fun to watch. And I think if they can lock it down, like what Kanan said, the drops and what you said, Jen, is sometimes the work is so difficult. That's why they're dropping it, because it's like work content over cleanliness, right?
Yeah.
How much content do you really need? How much stuff do you need? How many tricks do you need? It's like, let's simplify the tricks, make it cleaner, make it more effective. But they do have some great moments musically. And I'm trying to remember, I'm pretty sure it's Boston. There are some musical moments that they have with their flags. Like you can watch the flags moving and it matches the music perfectly. And that to me is a very sophisticated design. And I think if they can clean those things up visually and really tighten down their closer, because I think their closer is still it's still uneasy to me.
That's the weakest part of the show.
I think if they clean that up, they're going to...
Relatively weak, mind you.
Yeah, exactly.
In consideration. Yeah.
But I really like their show from the beginning. It's just like, boom, and that's their show, boom, right? So from the second you see the beginning of the show, it's just boom, 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 and it goes to the end. So I think it's
do you know what I hear when I hear all three of us talking that I find interesting is that I think 2025 is going to be the year that Color Guard decides who wins the DCI championship.
I don't know. I don't see it
I think musically we're all pretty even Stevens. I really do.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree. I agree to that statement. Only because if you listen to all the top 20, all the 20 cores, right? Sound wise, they all have a similar sound profile. Not that they're all exactly the same, and everybody has their, there's like Phantom is more baritone heavy in the upper range and stuff like that. But if you listen to the sound quality, it's not a huge, gigantic difference between first and 20, the sound quality wise, like listening wise. Now, technique and execution, dynamics and stuff like that, yes, there's more range. But I agree. To me, it seems like the Color Guard this year, it's all about who is the most musical and who is the cleanest in terms of that. Also, I think a little bit of visual, though. I think a little bit of visual, like design-wise. I think that's going to also help decide who's going to win. But that's every year, right? It's GE. GE is the biggest category. And GE encompasses music, visual, guard, right?
Yeah.
And your music right? How your music ebbs and flows and stuff. So such a big caption.
I wouldn't put it heavily on guard as much as visual. I think the visual caption is going to decide it. And I think it all comes down to whatever the secret ending is that Boston has. If it's something, there's a risk that you take when you hold an ending in your pocket too long. And so whatever they're doing, it needs to be out by Allentown, because if it falls flat, then you're stuck. You don't, and you have to clean it and everything, Now
I know that I put Vanguard 4th and BD 2nd in my rankings. That being said, we don't know what Vanguard has up their sleeves, and I still maintain they're the most dangerous corps on the field.
Yeah. Here's my criticism of Boston's ending right now is that, so in the ballad, they introduced the twirlers, and the twirlers are key. They are the atom. They're like doing their little molecule-y, atomy thing. And at the end of the show, you have all this big block work that Boston's horn line is doing, all this block drill, right? But very back on the center of the field, on the 50, behind the block of horns, is that little atom bouncing around, looking all stressed out, like we're about to split the atom. And you can't see her for all of the other nonsense. Not nonsense, but all the other stuff going on. Plus, you got the guy in the front doing the pirouettes and And I want to see more of what's going on with her. Did anybody know that was going on? No, I just noticed it for the first time last night. So now I want to go back and see if that was going on in St. Louis. I have video of the ending of their show, so I need to go back and look, because that might be like the story that they need to tell at the end of the show. We'll see what happens. But I didn't notice her before last night. I love my little twirling atoms. They're my favorite.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot. So tell us your guys' thoughts in your comments below. Give us your top 12. We will. And actually, what I'm going to be doing is, as we get probably into the week of finals, I'm going to put up a poll for your guys' predictions, and we're going to see how close we get. So I'll make sure I make a note of that. I'll do it for I think most I can do is 5, which is weird, but YouTube only lets you do up to 5, unless I can find another link somewhere to another poll, like outside of YouTube. But we'll kind of see where we end up and see how the cores rank at the end. It's always a roll of the dice, because you don't know until you get to that finals week, like who's going to land where. I mean, we've seen some miracles when we marched. So we'll see if those miracles happen here.
Yeah. It's such an exciting year. I really don't. This is like the first year I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with the top 5. It's fun.
Nope. It is
I love
fun.
it.
Kanan, any last words?
Well, I've certainly given everybody flame bait. So, as a bit of a caveat to my predictions, I think that it's when I talk about these groupings, I think these groupings are going to be really, really tight. And when I've got troopers at 8, they could just as easily be 10th. But for a drop, but for a blatty baritone or whatever the case may be. So, but what I would say is, I think that we've got a really stacked DCI year this year, and again, we're on to another year like we had last year where, first on down to 21st and beyond into open class, there isn't a core I don't like. There is, I generally, there are bits and bobs of even cores that are typically my hot dog cores who shall remain unnamed. There are bits of those shows that I do like. So, so I think that the real winner is us. That's kind of my take. So if you think my predictions are complete rubbish, please tell me down below. And if you are going to tell me down below and you don't use at least one British swear word, I'm going to be annoyed. So listen, guys, what I'd say is this, to wrap things up, as I say every week, no matter what you're doing, no matter when you're doing it, no matter who you're doing it with, no matter how you're doing it, just before you do it, make sure that you give to the troopers for their food truck fund and march on.
March on.
March
Thank
on.
you guys. Bye.